All right, so it's going to take a little bit longer than I thought because my whole plan was to get out of the house before I'm so orientation. You got to give me a minute. My whole plan was to get out of the house and get somewhere easy to do a little mama chat, and then I had company show up, and I didn't want to just leave you hanging like, oh, Trish, is this just one of your, sure, I'm going to get back live streaming, and then you never show up. So I didn't want to do that. So I'm just getting myself to a place, and hopefully with good cell service is the plan. But I definitely got motivated. Trust me, I am not saying that I'm going to start doing mama chats every week at 10:15 on Monday. That is not the plan. It's just Monday, and I was reminiscing. I was actually trying to. Thank you, thank you. I can see that. Thank goodness, because I got good glasses. It's just that, like, trying to figure out my health as always, and keeping in mind. And there was like a 3 vitamin combo I used to take, and when I took it, I felt amazing. And I could not remember what it was. Hey, I could not remember what it was, and so I remember one of my mama chats. I was going to say, like, just a few years ago or a year ago or so, when I was in the little mobile home, I talked about what it was, and I could not remember what it was. So I went back and watched the mama chat, and I went back and watched my mama chat, and oh my goodness. So number one, if you make videos, you know that sometimes it's weird to go back and watch yourself. And so I went back and I finally found where it was. It was 4 years ago. Oh my word. I did not realize it was that long ago. I'm just a little bit overwhelmed by that. It was 4 years ago. And so I was just shocked. And I watched it last night because I was trying to get some information. And it was at the time I was trying to do keto. And I was just talking about, it's just so funny because I was talking about my goal and my desire to be hormonally balanced, just living a well life so I can age gracefully. And I'm like, oh, I'm still on that journey. I'm still on that journey. And one of the things that got me was, I know I'm going to be where I'm supposed to be in just a little bit, where I can stop and really pay attention. I'm going to go back and read your thing, and I'm going to make the orientation correct. I just can't do it without holding it, and of course I'm driving my truck right now. But I was just so shocked, and I'm not gonna lie, it might be a little bit like I'm faking it right now, because when I was watching the video or replay of the live stream for 4 years ago, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so relaxed. And yet in the reality 4 years ago, which I was sharing but not sharing, sorry not sorry, sharing but not sharing, I was in a really hard place. There was way more going on in the background than I realized. Background of life, not the background of the video, but background of life, than I realized. There was so much trouble. There was so much discomfort. There was so much falling apart that I did not want to admit. And that was, and yet when I'm watching the video, I'm just so bubbly. And I'm just so happy and excited. And I'm like, oh, I miss her. But then look, here I'm doing a live stream and I'm pretty bubbly. And I guess it's just, I get it from y'all. I enjoy being with you guys. And I forgot that. Yeah, I forgot that. So all things that have changed is today's theme. And I swear I'm going to be where I need to be shortly. I promise you it's not that far of a drive to town. All things that have changed. And because so much has, and so many times I want to make a video and share with y'all, and at the same time I feel like I'm sharing things I don't really know, but I kind of have an idea, so I feel like an idiot sharing it. And and granted, it's just a struggle, and I know you guys understand and you get it, But at the same time, it's just weird. And when you live in kind of a place of unknown, and one of the hardest things that I struggle with is I want to have a plan. I would rather make the wrong decision than to have not made a choice. Is that not awful? I would rather say this might be the wrong choice to make, but at least I know what to do. And I think that comes a little bit productivity. I think this little ADHD issues, just trying to figure that part out. So much has changed. I'm just going to rattle off a list, and then once I get parked, you guys will come back and say, okay, talk to us about this today. Okay, so I've shared in the past, over the last 7 years, not much in the last year or two, but in the last 7 years, about my daughter being sick and we can't put her finger on it. As of March, literally, well, she's 17. Yeah, 7.5 years later, we have answers. And it was answers I never expected. She has a mold overgrowth that is cancer causing, that has caused dysautonomic function, mast cell, and tachycardia that comes with chronic fatigue. And the tachycardia, we go to a electrostatic arrhythmia cardiologist. We see an immunologist at Nova University. So we're doing the things we're supposed to be doing. We drive to Miami back and forth. And we have hope. We have a date for heart surgery because of her tachycardia, but then they also found that there's 2 valves that are allowing backflow and during a tachycardia episode. But things were so bad this year, and her amazingness in doing dual enrollment as I think the year after her freshman year, so in the last 2 years, she actually enrolled in the high school and was taking dual enrollment in a couple classes there, which has worked out because she wasn't necessarily a full-time student because she bounced back and forth between the community college. This year, come December, we had to pull her from the school and put her back as a homeschooler. She got medically, if you hear that loud hum, that is just this truck, I swear. She got medically excused out of 3 classes she took. She only passed 1, which is insane. Because she was kicked out of the class in chemistry because the chemistry teacher was like, you're not getting this. And then she flunked out of English and didn't say anything. She didn't want anybody to know how bad she was struggling. And she flunked out of English, which is insane because the girl is she does competitive speeches. So the girl can write. She wins money doing competitive speeches. The only class she passed at the college was a pre-calc trig class. It was 5 credits. And if you ever go back to the days, maybe I'll put a video. I won't put a link up, let's just say. But you can go back to the days. It would be 6 years ago, where I talked about she was in 6th grade and did not memorize her math facts. And here she is taking trig and pre-calc and passing it her junior year. But that class was in person. The other 2 were online. And the only class she kept at the high school was a debate class. And what has happened is, what we didn't realize, she was having these tachycardia episodes, and she can't think. She would go to sleep for days, and we're trying to figure out what's wrong. And I just have to say, if you got a pediatrician that's not listening, go to another pediatrician. We had to get to our 3rd pediatrician to get somewhere in 7 years. And trust me, I kept thinking it was me. I felt like a bumbling idiot, and I don't understand. Like, sometimes they so discredit you. No matter what education you have, they just constantly discredit you. Find one that will listen. Because by that point, when all this was going on, I was taking her to neurologists and everything else. And they told me to get her a therapist, that she has stress and anxiety and she needs psychiatric help. So if I would have listened to those experts, my child's heart would be continuing to enlarge. So there you go. So that's kind of what's going on with her. She's still homeschooling. Last year, I taught at the public school. I could get into a whole discussion about what has changed for me going from being in a going from homeschooling, being home for 10 years or more, and then going into the classroom. I mean, so much academically, social, and mentally for me. The balance it gave me, the crisis it gave me, that was extremely hard. I will tell you that there wasn't a lot of brain space left at the end of the day. I actually enjoyed being in the classroom, and I think I didn't enjoy teaching children who did not want to be taught. That was extremely miserable at times. But I enjoyed the fact that when I was in the classroom, there was nothing else to think about than what I had to do at that moment, compared to being home when I would homeschool and I would immediately think about the laundry, the dishes, what's for dinner, what did my phone ding about, and it was just, I hate to say, it was just so gentle on my mind, mentally, psychologically, and emotionally, just to focus on one thing. And I really have come to realize how much I struggle with that. The other part was finding some people. And I came to the realization I legit can interact with 115 people every day, and that balances me. Where my husband's like, I interacted with 3, I'm done. So that was kind of a like, oh, I'm really people-y, and that doesn't make me a bad person, and it doesn't make me needy. It just is a gift, to have that. So that it was phenomenal. Ooh, I'm almost at my parking spot, I swear, and then I'm going to rotate you. And that was neat to know. My things have changed. Oh, haha, look, I'm almost there. So today I'm actually working on getting animal feed for my kids' animals. And then I'm picking up a student that I had that I'm helping her move through the middle school in 2 years instead of 3. So I do a lot of tutoring with her. Okay, good, I made it. Here, look, I want to show you something because I realized this. Look, I have hair. Would you have thought? I have hair. Okay, so let me go back. Let me see the comments. No. I don't want to do that. How do I? Maybe nope. Oh, nope. How do I get that? Oh, I do this. Haha, took me a while. Okay. Glad to see you online. Thank you, Catherine. Hello. Thank you, Carpenter Family Fun. Love Garden. Hi, Trish. Thank you. Oh, look, my mom made it on. Trish, you are sideways at least on my screen. Yes, I was sideways. I'm so sorry. It just made it easier to drive, and I didn't have my thing done, but now we're good. Can't stay babysitting. Oh, I'll see you back again, though. Of course, COVID clock takes out about 2 years out of your history. Yeah, right? For your daughter and you, thank you for the prayers. Truth, find a physician that listens. Yay, okay, Journal of the Homeschool, you made it. Okay, all right, so now I got there. Whew. Okay, I got it. I had to get caught up because I couldn't do it driving. I'm trying to be safe here. Oh, dog nabbit, I forgot where I was. I'm definitely struggling with, okay, so things that have changed. I will tell you, so talking about what was going on in the background that I was not sharing 4 years ago, that I was having a hard time admitting to, that has changed, was my marriage was falling apart. My marriage was falling apart, and let's see, there we go. I got to remember how to do things. Okay, there we go. Get rid of the weirdos. My marriage was really in jeopardy. And I didn't realize it at the time of how bad it was. If you remember, 4 years ago, we were living in a situation where our house had flooded, and to make do financially and to get what we wanted, we moved in. We bought that mobile home across the street, and the 8 of us were living in 700 square feet. And it was taking a toll. And I was homeschooling, and every day was on prayer. That I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to take my things and leave. Knowing what I know now, and having a couple experiences, and I told my husband, probably, I'm feeling like you were. And I should have got a camper. Even though we're living in a mobile home, I should have got a camper. And there's a couple of good RV parks that are nearby, and I should have pulled us up there and just take a scenery break from time to time and go camping. That would have done wonders. Though my husband would not have been on board. But that would have done wonders. I want to tell you, like, I wish I could say, hey, if you put your kids in school, your marriage will get better. It did not. It literally had more to do, and I wasn't prepared for this, it had more to do with me finding myself or coming back to realization of who I am. And I don't know what happened, but somehow by being at home and being a people person and not being around people, no people, I just feel lost and worthless sometimes and don't know how to pull myself out. You got to like force yourself out. You've got to go give yourself an outside obligation to make yourself do something. And it's so hard to like restructure your life to be part of that. I'm just not going to lie. For me, it had to be, so I'm a people person. So when I interacted with the few people I interacted with every day, it was monumental to me. It was more monumental to me than it was for them by any means, which means negative or positive, it had a high emotional response to me because I was not interacting with enough people every day. And because of that, I won't lie, and I think you've seen it in the past in this, I'm very brash, would be a good way to put it. I've always been very brash. And I became to the point where I second guessed everything I did and said and walked on eggshells over everything and then resented it and then walked on eggshells with my husband. And my husband and I both agree, and we've come to this terms, especially after I left to go teach. I'm high maintenance. I'm just high maintenance. I emotionally am high maintenance. And I'm going to be honest with you, before going to teach, I thought that was a horrible thing. Like, I felt very ashamed that I was high maintenance. And going to teach and having all these interactions and having people love that my extra comes with a side of extra and seeing it as a positive and getting a positive response instead of a negative, I just realized I'm a little too much for my husband to be the only interaction for me in a day. And so me kind of coming to terms with me allowed me to not walk on eggshells when it came to dealing with my husband and being able to be firm and loving to my husband that says, you know, I don't like these things and I feel mistreated by these things. And this is what I need you to do for me. And you got to realize I've been doing things, you know, one of them is words of affirmation. So if you ever did the 5 love languages, my husband's is affection and services. So as long as I cook his dinner and rub his back, he's happy. And mine is words of affirmation. And you can't come in with a tone. The tone makes such a big difference. And what's hard is his tone could be harsh as he's demanding his love language. Just put your hand on my back and get your hand off your phone. If you're touching your phone, you should touch my back, you know? And I'm just like, or where's dinner? You have to make dinner. And I'm just like, That's not right. And it took me a while, and it took me some time to be like, that's not right. You can't do that. Especially being home, being with your children, you literally go from teacher to mom hat to, just everything. And that's almost impossible. It was just breaking me. It was literally breaking me. And without realizing it, I had started taking such short breaths. I was literally suffocating because I was not taking a breath. So I'm not going to lie. I'm not going back to teaching next year. I'd like to. I'm not going to lie. I would love to go back to teaching next year because I know what I need to do. I know where I need to be, and I got people to be around. I love that. I absolutely love that. Not that I don't love being with my kids, but I love the way that the interactions change with my kids. But like I told you with my daughter, we have a heart ablation coming up. We are back and forth to Miami, and I'm not going to lie, it's just hard enough working and teaching to juggle dinner, much less juggle my chronically ill child I need to make doctor appointments for. It's just hard. It's so hard for me to switch gears in my brain doing that because I don't have enough downtime. So I'm not teaching. And honestly, my oldest, it's going to be her senior year. We need to make sure we get the credits right and everything done. So I'm not going back to teaching. Which, am I upset about that? It's more of, I'm looking at my husband, I'm like, and so this is what's changed from last year to this year is, are you ready to be my only human interaction adultness that you better make sure you better level up on your words of affirmation for me because dude, this could be bad, like this could be really bad. And not trying to prophesize it to be bad, but just like, let's be real. And I mean, we're coming up on 20 years. So, I mean, we're not short hauling this. I'm in it for better or worse, but I'm fighting back now if it's worse. So, and then the other aspect too, and I hate to say it, but I've enjoyed having some cash that I don't have to explain my intent, barter for, any of that. I enjoy having some of my own money. I mean, check out my cool truck. I bought myself a little truck. I'm going to sell myself a little truck because as much as I like the idea of having another vehicle, when I realized the insurance payments, I don't need another vehicle. Bless it. It's such a cute little truck too. It's just very plain, just nothing to it. But it gives me that sense of me again. But I think I'll be selling it in the next month. Anyway, I've been dealing with things financially, dealing with how I spend money, why I spend money, the way I spend money, and making changes. One of the biggest things is I have realized the things I own, I tend to own for a long time. And me feeling like I'm not, like I shouldn't, and I talk about this in the past with food, having the guilty food, good food, guilty spending, good spending issues. What I tend to do is buy really cheap things that are not what I wanted and they really don't suit my need, but they're close enough. And then what happens, and now like retrospect, taking me 20 years of adulthood to figure this out, I don't ever upgrade because I already spent the money. Two, I don't get rid of it. And so in the end, and this has really come home with my minivan. I have had my minivan for 16 years. I am the only owner, and I have 240,000 miles on it. And, which isn't bad, because there was a couple years I was driving the 15 passenger as my primary, not the minivan. My minivan was my like little scoot out and get somewhere. And what has hit me about it is I'm not anywhere close to getting rid of the minivan. Because I told my husband when I'd buy it, I'd keep it till the wheels fall off. I did not expect him to take me literally. And so he expects me to keep the van until the wheels fall off. Not the plan. I'm a little bit like, come on, man. And I almost bought a new one last year, and I regret not getting it because it was so cheap compared to what they are now. And so now I'm just like, well, I got to wait for things to pan back out. So we're driving it till the wheels fall off. And in hindsight, there was a couple of things I wanted to do to upgrade that vehicle. And my husband was like, no, we'll go with the cheapest. And I wish I would have done the upgrades. Hey, North to Alaska. I wish I would have done the upgrades. If you're going to own it for 20 years, do the upgrades. Get the better one. You know, and that's where I'm coming to is I'll buy a lot of stuff that's not really what I want. And I will spend 2 times, 3 times the money when if I would have just bought what I wanted. You know, now granted, I need to wait some time before I make those purchases, but for the most part, I would spend less money. And so one of the things I just bought, and I realized, so when I was working, I bought three things. Three big purchases I bought working. I bought an RV. Oh my goodness, I do not regret that. I got everything I wanted in this RV. I'll have to show you one day. Not today. Not today. Too much stuff to do. And here was my big things, my non-negotiables. I wanted a slide out. I wanted a U table, you know, like a horseshoe table, because there's so many of us. I wanted a bunk room in the back, and I wanted an outdoor kitchen. I got all that. Used, financed with the TVs, because they already did that, with all the things they did to customize it, because I know now my husband's not that man. And it's unfair for me to expect him to be that man. It better show up the way I want it, because we're not upgrading it. It's going to be just as it showed up, nothing more. We won't make the purchases for it, anything. So it came with 2 TVs. I need that because we're not going to do that. It came with the hooks already in. I need that. I'm not going to do that. So I bought that. I bought this truck from my brother-in-law. And my husband told me about it. I've been wanting a truck because of gardening and being able to go and get stuff. And I wanted an open bed because my daughter and my husband have toppers on. And my husband has this big truck. It's a stick shift. It's such a pain in the butt. I don't mind when I go get a 1.5 tons of feed, but, or 3/4. Great fun to have alive while I scrub my bathroom. That's what I'm here for. So I got the pickup truck. Now things have changed. I got 2 kids driving vehicles all the time. I have so many vehicles in my yard. It's insane. I know it's gotten crazy long. And I'm still cutting the perm out. So we're getting there. And I do have to get my highlights done. So I did that. And then I bought a kitchen table. I bought a new kitchen table. Beautiful pub style kitchen table. Seats 8. I thought it was going to be lovely. I enjoyed it for 1.5 months, and I'm like, not what I wanted. I sold it. I lost $100. I'm like, it's fine. That's fine. It was cheaper to spend $100 buying used what I wanted, really nice what I wanted, and then realizing it didn't work versus buying it brand new and then I can't return it. So I got rid of that, and then I was like, you know what I really wanted, that I actually really wanted, but I did not want to spend the money on it, was a garden tiller. I know, right? But I don't do the big gardens because my husband is just like, I'll get the tractor. And I'm like, I don't need that much room. I want to be able to do it myself and not be a big thing. And so I bought the nicest tiller I have found yet. I mean, it literally got posted on Facebook, and in 20 minutes, I'm like, I need to know all the details. I want to get that. And it's a 1988 rototiller. It is 25 years old, which to me, that's still, it's more than 25 years old, isn't it? 90, 10, 8. It's 35 years old. But it's the quality that it will make it another 25 years. So I kept looking at the really cheap ones. And I mean, when I say cheap, like $200-$300. But you're going to have to push it. And I got one electric start. It's going to do the work for me because I knew better. And I kept holding back because I'm like, that's not really what I wanted. That's not really what I want. And it's not going to really suit the need. And I spent more money than I would have, but knowing one of my kids is probably going to get this whole thing when I die. That's just the truth. I know how I hold on to things. And I'm like, you know what? It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. Okay, so that's money spending, and I've been dealing with that and putting myself back on a budget and being more, not feeling so. There's people who have money who spend horribly on cheap garbage that never feel like they have money when in fact people can have money and live poorly, and people can have very small amounts of money and live richly. And I'm the person who has money that lives poorly, and I'm trying to change the mindset that I stop overspending but live richly. And like that's a whole brain shift in itself. All right, let's talk about school. My kids have literally told me that we can never go back to a homeschool relationship at all. That I'm so entirely burnt out that I am not that person anymore. That does not stop me from buying curriculum. That does not stop me from looking at curriculum. That does not stop me from daydreaming about all the parts. As of now, I did at one point plan to put them all in school. Then I'm like driving back and forth. I'm just not going to do it. And trying to keep up with them. The medical part. Let's see. She said it takes. Oh, I can't see it. Let's see. Medical mysteries are so frustrating. It takes a curious person to keep digging. Not many people are curious. I'm glad that you kept advocating. Thank you. Because there was many times that I felt very frustrated. And I felt like I wasn't doing enough because I was just exhausted. So my one plan was to put them back homeschooled just to make things easier. And then my oldest is already homeschooling. My second oldest, he did 8th grade. He went 8th grade in November. COVID hit. So when COVID hit, he came back and then he went 9th grade, all of 9th grade, and this year was 10th grade. Things fell apart. They changed the structure of the classroom. The ADHD was very difficult. His executive function did not work with the format of a high school classroom. And it was rough, which is insane because he could not comprehend and keep track of what they wanted in the classroom. But they do these EOCs, end of course exams, which in our area, hardly any of them pass them. He's passing with 4s and 3s, and and I'm just like, so you got this stuff, you just, and I almost pulled him out in January, and he's like, no, 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 and then hey, Tara Rose, or Therese, sorry, I'm like, my readers, so by the end, he was like, I should have had you take me out in January, this is insane, I can't stand it, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, we got to finish it out. So he's coming out and starting stuff. So I'll have those two oldest ones. I'm homeschooling high school, a junior year and a senior year. Next year I have a 9th grader, and she is gung-ho to go to the high school. And I'm just going to let her. If she can commit herself and put herself through and get it done, fine. If she wants to come out and change her mind at the end of the year, the end of the semester, we can fix that too. The bottom 3, I was like, nope, I'm homeschooling. And then we have a private school that's relocating to our church that is 4 minutes from the house. My kids are going to private school this year. Never have we ever done it, but the younger 3 are going to private school. So I will be hitting all gamuts. I will be homeschooling too. Just a couple classes I'm managing for them, mostly working still on self-taught. And I will do a curriculum spread on that one. 1 in public school and 3 in private school. I've already been offered that if I want to come work at the private school, I can come work at the private school. And I've got a standing position back at the middle school if I want to go back to the middle school. And my husband is pushing me to go back to engineering because financially it makes more sense. And I'm still fighting GERD. That's the cough because I did a dupe coffee today because I'm trying to up my protein intake because, yeah. So that's what our school year at this moment looks forward to. Thank you. Thank you so much. Teaching at the school has taught me to be skill oriented and not curriculum oriented. Huge blessing, by the way. Definitely has changed me on that one. And then I've got to get back to food preservation, which I used to do a lot of, and I haven't done much. I even got a freeze dryer, and I haven't even used it. Great job. Mostly because by the time I got it set up, I'd lost my best friend, one of my best friends, my neighbors, and she's like a best friend auntie, more or less. Like I can go to her for things, um, and then I went to work and I didn't get to use it, and so now I'm gotta get it set up to use it. Um, I'm back to dieting. I just had an amazing November, or not November. Why am I thinking November? I had an amazing June, and I dropped off a lot of like inflammation and weight. And then like 18 pounds. July 1st happened, and like it all went in a handbag out the door. And I just could not regulate things. And so I got a hold of a good friend of mine who is always learning about nutrition. She's an older mom like I am. She's a little older than me, actually, but our youngest are the same age. And we got talking, and I was telling her the things, because I'm doing the old school Weight Watchers on Healthy Eye, conquering cravings, and I told her my calories approximately, and she's like, you are not eating enough calories and you're not eating enough protein. I was like, what? So I'm starting at 100 grams of, so apparently you're supposed to eat a gram of protein for every pound you weigh, or what you want to weigh. And when I went back and looked through on Healthy Eye, I didn't realize this, but when you click on the food, it tells you how many calories it was and how much protein, carbs, and fat it was. And when I went and looked at it, like I should be clocking in 150 grams of protein. And yesterday by 5:30, 6 o'clock, I just had that user on from the channel, so we should be good. No timeout. We'll just do it that way. So when what is this? Where are your wrenches? Well, I know it's apparently. I'm gonna add you. You've been around for a long time. I'll add you. It keeps coming back up. So I hit him from the channel. So doing the Weight Watchers, I just kind of had this crash, and I just started eating a ton of food and trying to figure out like what was going on. And I got talking to her. She's like, your protein. So when I looked at the protein, I'm supposed to have 150, and it's 5 o'clock, and I had 34 grams of protein for the day. And she's like, you got to be kidding me. So I was on my way to take my daughter has a food prep everything, which I told you we could do a long conversation of all the things that's going on. So I opened up the freezer yesterday afternoon, and I seen all of her smoothies she prepped for breakfast. Because unfortunately for her, with mast cell and the histamines, there's like 30 things she can eat. So smoothies kind of help round that out and give a little diversity to her taste buds. And so I'm on my way to go bring, it's about an hour and a half to get to there. So I bring her food, and she's like, Mom, will you go to Dunkin' Donuts? So I'm having this conversation on the way. Now, being a cheapo and doing mind control, this is not my Dunkin' Donuts from yesterday. It's not another Dunkin' Donuts today. I kept the cup. I frothed the milk. I'm going to put it on Instagram like my dupe. It's literally cold coffee with 1 cup of skim milk, frothed with a little extract, like an extract I made that's like an almond joy. So it's cocoa, almond, and coconut, and some sweetener. That's it. And I'm sipping it because if I drink it too fast, it makes my GERD act up. And the reason I did it after talking to her is 1 cup of skim milk has 8 grams of protein. And it was amazing how immediately it helped. Yeah, I can get into the whole gamut of what I've been like noticing, paying attention to, and I think there's a serotonin dopamine issue going on where I start feeling good in So I tend to overeat anyways because I have no sense of control of how much I eat, or, I don't balance that very well. And, oh, it's so funny. There's a man getting good dumpster diving going on right now. I hope he finds something good. Um, so what I think what tends to happen is I go from like kind of getting it in check, and then my dopamine and my serotonin level out. And then what happens is I stop eating, which is really crazy. I just stop eating, and then all of a sudden my dopamine and my serotonin drop. And then on top of it, I'm not eating enough protein. Didn't know that. Didn't realize that. And then I start gorging, and I cannot stop the gorge. Where I had self-control, now I have like nothing, and I'm falling apart. And it's almost like a brain thing going on. So I found that out, and then my friend was like, you need to just up your protein. And it was crazy. I just had having that 1 cup of skim milk with the 8 grams of protein just did something for me within like an hour. I was like, oh. And then I went home, and one of my favorite things is a little Hawaiian. I'm going to say it wrong, so don't make fun of me. Like the poke bowls. Poke, I think that's how you say it. I've been calling it poke bowls, but when I did a Google search on it, I found out on YouTube they call them poke because they are Hawaiian, like Japanese inspired Hawaiian. So, increase natural proteins, natural fats, reduce carbs. Now I can't reduce too much carbs because, and that was one of the things I was reading was with the ADHD, I need the dopamine. Unfortunately, I don't like candy. I don't like hard candy. So a lot of people, the ADHD, they seem like sugar addicts, but they're not. We're just looking for the dopamine so we get off the couch and get moving because, we're 100 things or zero. And with the dopamine, I've got to make sure I got to have the carbs. I got to have certain carbs and a certain amount. So I do have to stick with carbs. I've learned that a long time ago. Keto does not work for me. It actually causes me a lot of health issues that I didn't have. So this is legit lower fat, high fiber, calorie reduction. And then she's having me count my calories too. So at the end of the day, even though I'm doing points, I kind of go in there, oh girl, I'm not doing that. The only organ meat I'll eat is a fried chicken gizzard. That's about all I got. Got nothing else. The German in me does not come out on that one. So I'm upping my protein. I did my dupe. I used my little frother. I frothed my milk. It looked beautiful. I can't wait to post pictures on Instagram how beautiful my dupe looked. And so it's kind of playing mind control on the money side. Is I feel like what we've been focusing on is staying healthy is using divided plates where we do, that's a good one too, doing your quarter protein, quarter starch. So part of my dupe is the stickers still on it. Can't show it. And then I make it look like a store drink. So financially that helps me on a dupe, and it tastes amazing, and it's my snack. I'm not drinking it quickly because if I do, I'm going to sound like a smoker coughing with my GERD. Last month I did have COVID, which knocked me out. I don't know. Any other questions? Like, those are some of my drastic life changes. I feel so unsure. I'm just not going to even lie. I like know what I want, and I feel so unsure all the time. Medical needs definitely change dietary needs. I need to do protein, fat, low carb. Yep. COVID is rough. That sounds interesting and worth looking at. Yes. So I will promise you, I don't have it figured out. I'm living the best life I can. I feel lost. I feel, it's so funny. I've been like definitely dealing with this last year teaching and just being so busy. And I know like God found Martha in her busyness where Mary stopped and sat with Jesus. But I feel so at distance with God than I used to feel. And I know it's because I'm not in the Word. My prayer life is just, and yet at the same time, I'm just like, Lord, use me and I'll be your tool. And when I was teaching, my daily prayer was, Lord, show me how to love them like you love them. Don't let me see the things like the manners. Don't let me see when I'm talking about the kids, because a lot of them were in a rough situation, or just they come off like punks, and you just want it. They're rude, and I just daily prayed to love them like God saw them. And let me tell you, I left and I loved every one of them, and every one of them I know loved me, and I would tell them. Um, and so just kind of struggling to bring myself back into that place. There was something I was watching. Maybe I was at church yesterday and it was there. But no, it was church yesterday. It was when you pour out and you pour out, you pour out to such a deficit, it takes a lot to get back. And I got to get back. And like I realized, like, oh, it's going to take a lot to get back. But then it's so crazy because I know, like, I have no doubts about my salvation. I just don't feel it, like, I just feel like my relationship's a little stale on my part, not God's part, my part. And it was just crazy because I'm going to tell you that in a second, Love Garden. And then went to church, and like this whole like trifecta happened. I didn't end up in my Sunday school class because this, that, and I showed up late, and I ended up in like the teenager one. My friend was teaching it, which he was filling in for the day. I kind of go to sit in, and I'm sitting there listening, and I'm like bringing in this effect just to get conversation going with the kids. And then I went to service, and it was word for word the things I said in Sunday school. No joke. It was the things I said in Sunday school. And I was like, whoa, like, whoa, we're all on the same thing. And so I was talking to my friend who taught the Sunday school, because my husband and I sat in there. And I was just like, I swear I didn't listen to the first service, because we have an 8:30 service and 11 o'clock service, and they broadcast 8:30 service. I'm like, I swear I didn't listen. I did not come in prepped. I just can't even tell you everything I said. I just swear I really just was like open to God using me and putting in and talking to them as God would want me to talk to them. And he goes, no, second service message was different from first service. And I was just like, I could cry. Oh my goodness. And it's just like that reaffirming, like, although I've staled my side of the relationship, Jesus and God have not. And it was like, okay. So I'm struggling there, like, no doubt. And I'll start crying. I'm trying not to be emotional, but I'm so emotional, so I'm working on that. I'm working on just trying to be prepared for life and for how life will change. I have one turning 18 this year and graduating. So, and trying to be youthful, because like my hair is killing it right now, and I still love that they all think I'm 10 years younger than I am, which is awesome, but I don't feel it. And I know if I got the weight off, it would help, and I want that. And I'm just like, okay, if I got to go back to engineering, I got to go relearn how to be an engineer. How do I get my things? So, Love Garden, back to your, like, how do you get started? You have to leave your house. And you might have to make sacrifices and accommodations to make it happen. But even if it's just a gym membership that has group workout, not the Anytime or Planet or whatever, where you can go anytime you want, that's great and all. But you need something in your life that is a scheduled activity that you have to be at a certain place at a certain time to do it. And it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, it could be like doing a dance class. It could be like doing a workout. It could be taking some class. It could be a Bible study. It doesn't matter. Figure out what to do with your kids if you got kids at home, and get your butt out of the house. Because I'm not going to lie, I am so overwhelmed and I'm so burnt out and I feel so ineffective that being home again, and especially after being sick, I was on a roll. Oh, and I could talk about that. I've been purging my house. Thank you for teaching, because that has taught me so much. Purging my house, getting rid of stuff. I was on a roll. I hit COVID. And when I started feeling good but couldn't get up and get the moving, I would watch Reels and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. And it's rekindled an old habit that's making me ineffective. And I want to work out. I mean, I got Beachbody on demand so I can get going. And I don't feel like doing it. I got every excuse. And I realized, like, I wanted to join a gym. And I told my husband, I'm like, I want to go join a gym, so I have to make myself go somewhere to get it. And he's like, you just bought your gym. It's called the Tiller. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't, because at the same time, I'm like, I don't really have time to go to a gym. If I'm going to leave the house, I need to go do something else. But I know, and that's what I'm working on, I have to have outside my house external accountabilities to make sure I don't just sit and hibernate mentally and emotionally and then become completely emptied and zapped because of it. And I'm completely aware that that will happen. So this summer, to keep me going, I pick up one of my former students. I'm good friends with her mom now. And I either take her to the library with my own kids, and they do the library, and we do studying. Now, granted, it benefits her, but it benefits me too. It stimulates me intellectually. It gives me it just gives me kind of what I need, and it gives me that I'm not sitting in the house. Now, there's a little bit like, I feel like a little bit like I'm going too many places and I can't get the things I want done at the house. But I'm trying to get that decluttering energy back to just just to make my house what it needs to be. And that could be a whole nother conversation. We go and just after the show, just leave me some comments like, hey, expand on this. I need to know this. But I need that. I have to get out and do things. I'll tell you another idea that I've had. It's been presented to me for years now, and I kind of wish I would have started it. But I've been asked multiple times about getting a couple graduate classes done for math. And in doing so, too much so you're even present at home is getting out to fill your cup it's very difficult. Is getting graduate classes so I can go teach at the local state college. And I think that would be a better balance than teaching every day for 180 straight days. I think that would really actually be a better fit for me. And if my husband wants me to do a little bit of engineering, I can balance that better. And that's the other part too, is working hard to find the balance, because I put too much on my plate and I don't do anything good. That's my goal, to teach at the local CC, right? Yeah, so trying to find that balance where I'm not putting so much on my plate. I'm getting better at saying no about things. My mother-in-law's like, oh, are you selling your camper? I'm going to get the camper so I can hook it up here. I'm like, no, we're practicing boundaries, and I'm not allowing any emotional stress to happen on purpose. So that's going to be a no. I love you, and we're going to keep it at that. And she's like, okay. I'm like, and I will say, going and teaching for the year and not walking on eggshells with people has allowed me to be an advocate for my own mental health, because I've learned, no, no. Just because I could doesn't mean I should. So I'm going to leave it at that. I've got to go and do life. I will be back on next week. It will not be Monday at all, because Monday I'm going to go canoe a river. It's the annual mom canoe thing. And here's things that changed too in the last few years. The best thing I got in my life, definitely learning how to say no the last couple of years, even saying no to things I would like to do. Ooh, that's the hard part. The things I like to do is so hard to say no. The best thing that's changed in my life, and I'm going to tell you this, so don't be envious because it's funny too, is I got a best friend. And my best friend is so special. My best friend acts nothing like me. My best friend puts me in my place. My best friend tells me everything I don't want to hear. My best friend is like a dang sister I live my daily life with, and I could not ask for anything better. And my best friend and I fought like cats all through high school because I'm older. I was a senior, she was a freshman, but we were in the same circle because we were both at the same standard of excellence, so we were in the same things. And the problem is I knew I was right and she thought she was right. That's kind of my funny right now because we're both that stubborn. We're very stubborn. And so the reason we got together a couple years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, was for the need of my children with what her kids were doing. And knowing our previous past, we were very delicate with each other to not tick each other off because we were seeing the benefit. We were doing it for the benefit of our children. And in the meantime, she is my best friend. She will literally like, I haven't heard from you. Are you mad at me? And I'm like, no, I hadn't had time. I'm so sorry. Things are happening. Oh, okay. And she is my emergency call for my children. Like, she is my emergency contact at all times. Because I know she will, and like our kids do things together. They fight like family. They love each other like family. They fight for each other like family is the best thing. And so anyways, we went canoeing last year. We had a blast. We had to deal with a few things, so we changed it up. So she's like, it's our annual canoe time. I'm like, it's only our second annual, but whatever. And we call it the mom's canoe trip because us moms plan it, and then the husbands are supposed to come. And our new rule is that like there's no unaccompanied children. We are happy to take your children, other people's children, to stuff all the time. But we have learned from previous experiences, we're not taking somebody else's kid on a canoe trip. It has to be special circumstances. So we invite other moms and the whole 9 yards, but her and I pick the day, the time, who's coming. So that's our little thing. So we're going to go canoeing on Monday. But it might be Tuesday. I think I now have a dentist appointment coming up. So we're going to spend the next few weeks figuring out when is the best time for a mama chat. And we will come back to just having mama chats with our cup of coffee, even if it's duped to make it feel like we're spending money. I might have mama chat at home. I might have mama chat on the road. I don't know. We're just going to figure it out. Another change I've got. I've stopped trying to predict how things are going to be or setting a tone that this is how they have to be perfect. And I've been trying to work on being willing to just not have the plan. Because, like I told you earlier, I like to have a plan even when it's not working, even when it's not great. I will just take that plan anyways. And then it's all of just not working. So any ideas, any conversations you want to focus on? Otherwise, you got the Ramblings of Trish. I really could change my whole YouTube name to Ramblings of Trish, but I'm not. It's just so Trish. If you have not done so already, give me a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed and want to get the notifications, I think it's been a while, so forgive me. And I mean, seriously, YouTube has probably changed so much. Actually, I know it has, and everything has changed so much on social media. And I don't plan to figure it out. I just plan to wing it old school, like, 4 years ago, and keep up the best that way. And we'll just do what we can do, and you'll get some laundry folded, and we'll spend a little time together. And I might do my makeup every once in a while, but no, probably not. All right, so I'm going to talk to you later. I'm going to talk to you soon. We're at the 1 hour mark. I love you all, and I just pray that God is moving in your life, keeping you and meeting you where you are and showing you where to go. And trust me when I tell you that God doesn't need you to see the plan for the next 40 years, 10 years, 2 years down the road. He just needs you to see the next step. And I pray that you are willing to see the next step. Because remember, when he called Abraham out, he didn't even tell him where he was going. When he called Moses out, he just told him to follow the next step. And that's all you got to do.
just follow the next step. Be in prayer. Open your heart. And if you have not accepted Christ, I promise you, it is the best gift you can get. So, dear Heavenly Father, be with my people today. Lord, just be with them that have come here now and later, and just let your presence be felt today. Lord, let your will be done in your Son's holy name. Amen. I will talk to you later. Bye. Now I got to remember how to turn it off, right?